Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Learn English Unleashed. I'm John. I'm really happy you're here today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, you might discover the biggest reason English has always felt difficult and how to make it feel natural, not by studying harder, not by memorizing hundreds of new words, but by learning English in a way that feels natural. So, if you're ready, let's begin. Let me ask you something. Have you ever listened to someone speaking English so naturally, so smoothly, that you forgot English wasn't even their first language? Then you quietly asked yourself, why does English feel easy for them, but so hard for me? Maybe you've been learning English for months, maybe for years. You understand videos. You understand books. You even know many English words. But the moment someone asks you a simple question, your mind suddenly goes blank. You know the answer, but the words don't come out. If that has ever happened to you, you're not alone. And here's something important. It doesn't mean you're bad at English. It doesn't mean you're too old. And it definitely doesn't mean you'll never become fluent. In fact, most learners face this exact problem. The difference is, some people discover a better way to practice. And trust me, one small change in today's episode could save you years of practicing the wrong way. Even if now maybe you're thinking, I don't have enough time. Or maybe, I'm too shy to speak. Or perhaps, I don't live in an English-speaking country. That's completely okay, because none of those things decide your future. You don't need 3 hours every day. You don't need perfect grammar before speaking. You don't need native English speakers around you all the time. And you don't need expensive classes. You only need a few simple daily habits, small habits, smart habits, the kind that fit into your normal day. And those small habits can create big results. Now let's break one of the biggest problems about learning English. Many people believe if I move to America or the UK, then I'll become fluent. But that's not the real secret. Thousands of people live in English-speaking countries and still don't improve. Why? Because hearing English is not enough. You must use English. Little by little, every single day. Fluency doesn't come from your location. It comes from your daily actions. That's what changes everything. So here's my promise to you. By the end of today's episode, you'll know how to speak English naturally, think in English naturally, stop translating in your head, speak English without fear, build natural English fluency, make English feel like your own language, not through difficult lessons, not through pressure, just through small, easy, daily practice. And trust me, one idea later in this episode surprises almost every learner. So stay with me, because that's where everything begins to change. Now let me ask you another question. Why do little children learn their first language so easily? Think about that. Do they begin with grammar books? No. Do they memorize long vocabulary lists? Not at all. Do they worry about making mistakes? Never. So, what are they doing differently? Keep that question in your mind. Don't answer it yet, because in just a few minutes, you'll discover a simple lesson that most English learners never notice. And once you understand it, you'll never practice English the same way again. A few months ago, I met a man while waiting at a train station. We started talking. He smiled and said, "John, I've been learning English for almost 7 years." I smiled back and said, "That's amazing. You must be very confident." He laughed softly. Then he looked down and said, "Not really. If someone suddenly starts talking to me in English, I panic." That surprised me. 7 years, and still afraid to speak. So I asked him, "What do you usually do to improve?" He answered, "I watch grammar lessons. I memorize new words. I read English sometimes, but I don't really speak." Right there, I understood the real problem. He wasn't building a language. He was collecting information. And there's a huge difference. Many learners know English, but they don't live English. And that's why speaking still feels difficult. Maybe that's exactly how you feel today. If it is, don't worry. Because today, we're going to change that together. Why most learners stay stuck. Here's the truth. Most learners think English is another school subject. Study today. Close the notebook. Forget everything tomorrow. Then repeat the same cycle. But language doesn't work that way. Imagine someone who watches cooking videos every day. They know every recipe, every ingredient, every cooking trick, but they never enter the kitchen. Will they become a great cook? Of course not. Because knowledge without practice never becomes a skill. English is exactly the same. The more naturally you use it, the more naturally your brain remembers it. That's why some people speak simple English very confidently, while others know difficult grammar. But stay silent. Here's something I want you to remember. Don't try to sound perfect. Try to communicate clearly. Simple English with confidence is always stronger than perfect English that nobody hears. So today, let's stop chasing perfection and let's start building confidence. Ready? Great! Let's begin with our first practice. Practice 1. Connect words to images, not translations. Remember the question I asked you earlier? How do little children learn their first language so easily? Here is their secret. Children don't connect English words to their native language words. They connect English words directly to images and feelings. When a child sees a round, red fruit, their brain doesn't translate. Their brain directly thinks, apple. But as adult learners, we make a mistake. We look at a cup, we think of the word in our native language first, and then we translate it to cup. That translation step is why your mind goes blank. To speak English like your first language, you must delete the translator. Your 2-minute first language routine. Tomorrow morning, look around your room. Look at an object, like your phone, a window, or a shoe. Do not create a sentence. Just look at the object and touch it or point at it and say the English word instantly. Phone. Window. Shoe. Force your brain to link the physical object directly to the English sound. No translation allowed. Today, find 5 objects around you. Touch them and name them in English within 3 seconds. Don't give your brain time to translate. Say the English word within 3 seconds. Your first answer is usually the best one. The faster you do it, the less time your brain has to translate. Repeat after me. Let's train your brain to link directly. Repeat after me. What I see, I say. Again. What I see, I say. One more time. No translating, just speaking. Excellent. You are now training your brain exactly how you trained it for your first language. But naming objects is just step one. How do you start connecting these words into natural sentences without checking grammar rules? Because knowing single words is easy. But how do fluent speakers turn those words into smooth, natural sentences without stopping to think? That's exactly what we'll discover in practice 2. Welcome back, my friend. Before we move on, let me ask you something. Have you ever watched an English video, understood almost everything, but when you tried to say the same sentences, your mouth felt slow, your pronunciation felt different, your confidence disappeared? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, because that's completely normal. Listening helps your brain, but speaking trains your mouth. And today, we're going to train both. Practice 2. Copy the attitude, not just the words. Think about your first language. When you were a child, you didn't learn to speak by reading text on a screen. You didn't look at subtitles. You looked at people's faces. You saw their hands move. You felt their energy. Most learners focus 100% on the letters and words. They read the subtitles while watching a video. That keeps your brain in study mode. It doesn't make the language feel like your own. To speak English like your first language, you must stop reading English. Start feeling it. Next time you watch a short video, close your eyes for 10 seconds. Just listen to the voice. Notice the emotion. How does the speaker feel? Angry? Excited? Tired? Then, open your eyes and repeat the phrase with that exact same attitude. If they say, "I'm so tired," don't just say the words without feeling. Drop your shoulders. Sigh. Say it like you mean it. I'm so tired. This creates a physical connection in your brain. The language stops being a textbook subject. It becomes alive. Repeat after me. Let's try it with real energy. Repeat after me with confidence. I can absolutely do this. Again, I can absolutely do this. Excellent. You're not memorizing English, you're building English, and that's a huge difference. But now comes something even more powerful. Because even if your pronunciation improves, many learners still have one problem. Their brain keeps translating every sentence. So, how do we stop that? Let's find out. Practice 3. The one-word thinking. Switch. Now let's fix the biggest problem. The translation. Your brain thinks in your first language, translates it, and then your mouth speaks. This makes you slow. Many experts tell you, start thinking in complete English sentences. But that is too difficult for your brain. It feels unnatural. Here is how you actually build a first language habit. Start with just one word inside your mind. When you feel thirsty, don't create a long sentence. Just drop the English word thirsty into your mind. When you look at the clock and see you are late, just think, late. When you see the rain outside, just think, rain. You see, you are training your brain to skip your native language entirely for that one moment. You are linking the feeling directly to the English word. Once one word becomes automatic, 2 words will follow naturally, then 3 words. That's how your brain builds a new language, one small step at a time. For the next 30 seconds, think only in single English words. If you feel warm, think warm. If you hear a loud sound, think loud. If you smile, think happy. Don't translate, just notice and think in English. Repeat after me. Let's practice switching over right now. 1 word at a time. Again. 1 word at a time. Excellent. Did you feel that? Your brain is slowly creating a new habit, and habits become automatic. That's exactly how children learn. Not by translating, but by using. In the next practice, I'll show you one simple exercise that strengthens your speaking muscles every single day. Most learners completely ignore it. But once you start using it, people will notice the difference in your fluency. Welcome back, my friend. You've already done something many learners never do. You didn't just listen, you practiced. And every small practice brings you closer to speaking English naturally. Now, let's keep going, because the next practice is simple, but it's one of the most powerful habits you can build. Practice 4. Copy. Ready-made chunks, not individual words. Think about how a child talks when they are mastering their first language. They don't learn a single word and then look up a grammar rule to connect it. Instead, they copy whole phrases without thinking about grammar. They hear "come here" and they copy the whole sound. Come here. To them, it's not 2 words. It's just one single block of sound. Most learners try to build sentences brick by brick, word by word. That's why your brain gets tired and slow. To speak English like your first language, you must start collecting chunks. Your 3-minute chunk routine. Stop trying to remember verbs and prepositions separately. When you learn a phrase like depend on, don't just memorize depend. Keep the whole block together. Pick 3 useful everyday chunks like I'm about to, by the way, or let me check. Repeat them as a single sound until your mouth can say them without your brain thinking. Repeat after me. Let's practice locking in 3 natural chunks right now. Repeat after me. I'm about to leave. Again. I'm about to leave. Next one. Never mind. One more time. Never mind. Excellent. You're teaching your brain to speak naturally, one phrase at a time. Now, we've reached the most important practice of today's episode. This is where everything comes together. Listening, speaking, thinking, confidence, daily habits, everything. Ready? Let's do it. Practice. 5. Anchor English to your physical senses. Here's one more secret that makes English feel natural. It was connected to your physical survival and daily life actions. You didn't just hear the word hot. You touched a warm cup and felt it. Most learners keep English inside books or on video screens. It stays abstract. To unlock first language fluency, you must anchor English directly to your 5 senses, the daily sensory trick. Choose 2 simple physical actions you do every single day without fail. For example, washing your hands and drinking water. Make a rule. Every time your hands touch the water to wash them, you must say one simple status update to yourself in English. Washing my hands right now. Every time you pick up a glass of water, say, time to drink. By tying the English sound directly to a physical, real-world sensation, you create an unbreakable link in your brain. The language stops being a school subject, and that's when something amazing happens. You stop forcing English. But there's one final piece of the puzzle. How do you make these habits stick for life? That's exactly what we'll discover in the final part. Welcome back, my friend. When you anchor English to your physical routine, the language naturally becomes a part of who you are. Now, before we finish today's journey, let me tell you one last story. A learner once sent me a message. He said, "John, I always thought I wasn't good at English. Every conversation made me nervous, so I usually stayed quiet. But then, he made one small decision. He stopped chasing perfect English. Instead, he practiced for just a few minutes every day. He followed the simple practices you learned today. Little by little, English stopped feeling like a subject. It started feeling like a part of his daily life. Nothing dramatic, nothing difficult, just small daily habits. A few months later, he sent another message. This time he wrote, "I had a full conversation in English today. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't stop. And for the first time, I actually enjoyed speaking." That made me smile, because that's real success. Not perfect English, confident English, natural English. English that feels like your own language, and I truly believe you can reach that point too. So today, let's quickly remember what we've learned. First, connect words directly to images instead of translating. Second, copy the native speaker's attitude and emotion, not just their words. Third, use the one-word thinking switch to slow down your mental translator. Fourth, collect ready-made language chunks instead of building sentences brick by brick. And finally, anchor your English directly to your daily physical senses. None of these practices is difficult, but together, they create something powerful. They create confidence. They create fluency. They create progress. One small step at a time. Before we say goodbye, I want you to remember one thing. You don't become fluent in one day. You become fluent, one sentence at a time, one conversation at a time, one brave moment at a time. So please, don't compare yourself with someone who's been practicing for years. Compare yourself with the person you were yesterday. If you know one more sentence today, that's progress. If you're a little less afraid today, that's progress. If you practiced for just 5 minutes today, that's progress. Keep going. Keep speaking. Keep believing in yourself. Because every time you choose to use English, you're building a future where speaking English feels as natural as speaking your first language. And one day, you'll look back, smile, and realize the English that once felt difficult now feels completely natural. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really proud of you for staying until the end. Take care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep smiling. And I'll see you in the next episode of Learn English Unleashed. Until then, keep practicing. Keep smiling. And remember, every small step you take today brings you closer to speaking English like it's your first language.